Hi, and welcome to Alicia Woodford's Resource Vibe. This is your directory for master spiritual healers, practitioners, and business resources. Today, I am very excited to introduce you to our guest, Gandharva Sauls. He is your life blueprints master teacher, truly a hidden gem. And he has over 40 years experience with yoga, Ayurveda, and holistic health. Gandharva offers your life blueprint consultations, trainings, and workshops around the world. And I was first introduced to the blueprint about 7 years ago. I had a consultation and was completely blown away with how accurate and confirming it was for me. I felt truly seen and understood in every area of my life. At that point, I had done so much healing, self awareness, and work on myself that I was pretty aligned. And it was more confirmation for me of why I am the way I am and why I'm different in different areas of my life as well. So it helped me to accept myself and understand some of the gifts and challenges I have. It was so impactful that I ended up giving a lot of my loved ones consultations, and I referred all of my clients as well to the blueprint because it's so accurate. I haven't experienced anything like it. I don't know if there's anything like it. We will find out. I don't think there is, but it
Mhm.
really has helped me stay aligned and accept and understand why I am the way I am and embracing the difference within myself and accepting the difference with other people as well. I was thinking recently how much I still think about it too. It has stayed with me for 7 years. I still think about it and say, yep, this is this is why I'm doing this, and this is why this keeps happening, and why I am who I am, and why I live in south of France now where it's sunny all the time. So I'm excited to get into details with you all today. I'm truly honored to have you on as one of our first resources in the first season of Resource Vibe. Welcome to our show, Gandharva.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So glad you are. I love talking about the blueprint, your life blueprint with everyone. So I'm happy to share it in this way around the world. I think everyone is probably wondering the same thing. What is your life blueprint?
Well, you just explained it probably better than I could. I mean, it really was perfect what you just said, but I'll give you my explanation. Actually, as you said, in a nutshell, it's really about understanding yourself and accepting what you find out about yourself. I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions actually to help to explain the work. What do you think is the best diet that we could all eat?
Yes, great question because when I did the blueprint, I had already arrived to knowing myself so well because I had experimented and restricted and did so many different things when I was obsessed with being skinny, when I was in my body dysmorphia, eating disorder stage of most of my life, until I healed and I did the emotional work. Then I just accepted how I ate, how I always preferred to eat, which I
Mhm,
never liked meat. I eat fish, but not that often, and I
mhm.
love have mostly carbohydrates and some protein, and that was in my blueprint. But I also have always seen how other people thrive on more protein than others.
Right. So So there's that question. Then we could also ask, what's the best exercise for everybody to do? Or what's the best place to live in the world we should all really be living in? Or what's the best color for everybody? Or what's the best fragrance, aromatherapy for everybody? Or what's the best music for everybody? The only answer to, to those questions are, it depends. It depends really on who's asking the question.
And it's in knowing that everything's different for everyone,
Exactly.
then there is no best for everyone.
Right. There really isn't good or bad in a sense or best related to any of those things or anything you could really think of. It's really what is appropriate for the person, and that's really what your life blueprint is about. What is appropriate for the person who's sitting in front of me who needs to know this or should know this about themselves. Now also, there really are 8 answers. There's 8 answers because the way we look at someone's life or someone's blueprint, we speak about it in terms of that there are 8 areas of life that we all deal with every day. There's the physical area, which includes our health and, eating and exercising. There's the mental area, which in the blueprint is called the vital body. But it has to do with mental stress and how we deal with it or how easily we get stressed. Then the third area is dharma, which means our life purpose, basically, what we're here for. How do we help the world? Then we have career, the very specific thing or things that we will do to support ourselves and also make a difference, in the world as well. Then the next area is creative play. So that's how we like to have fun and enjoy ourselves and all the things that we do to relax. Then there's relationships, how we interact with others and how we feel about relationships. And do we want to be married? Do we want to be not married or committed? And many other things related to relationships. Then we have the area of desires, the things we want, the things we desire in life, all the material stuff, basically, all the things that come and go, not really real in a sense, or don't really hang around for too long. Then, last but not least, in fact, the most important of the 8 areas of life is the spiritual area. And even you don't have to say spiritual, you could just say it's the area of your main personality in life, the one that guides all the other 7, kind of keeps
Mhm.
them all sometimes in check too. So there's 8 areas of life basically that we speak about, and then there are also 8 archetypes, and I like to call them personality types. So you're going to have one of those personality archetypes governing each of the 8 areas of life. The 8 personality types are I'll just go through them and then I can explain them more in depth as we go along. But integrative, devotional, warrior, communicator, giver, idealist, loner, and rebel. As a just as example, I have the rebel, which is the most extreme of all the personalities, but not in a bad way, but just extreme. I have that in my creative play area. So I don't like so the normal ways that people have of having fun and enjoying themselves don't work for me so well. I need to do things that are different, unique, unusual, find find strange ways of having fun.
What are some of those strange ways that you have fun?
Oh, see, we don't wanna go into that. It could be things like the rebel is about foreign things and foreign ideas and foreign places. It could be travel. to not to normal places, though, not travel to, go to London or go to Paris or it would be go to, some city in some country nobody ever heard of, spend some time there. That would be really fun. I've done things like that in my life too.
Mm,
Um, but then it could also the rebel and well, the creative play area itself can also be related to, addictions. I think of it as the place where addictions can really, uh, come from and take hold. And so if you have the rebel in that area, like I do, you can be prone to poisonous things, poisonous substances, and also unusual things. So I have had addictions in my life to unusual things and to poisonous substances,
mm.
which we don't have to go into, but I have since been able to get past all of that.
Well, I remember you sharing this with me because your desire, it was, like, easy for you because you had your something had changed in your timeline.
Well, right. Along with our basic blueprint, we can identify times in our life when things may happen and when areas of life get focused on more than others. And yes, I went through a long period of time where I was in that rebel, creative play, addictive phase. And it's like I almost couldn't help myself there. I had to go through it in order to get past it and understand it. So, yeah, and that was an interesting time. I also had very crazy fun too, as well as some some problems.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, that's the idea. There's 8 areas of life, 8 personality types. One of those types will govern each of those 8 areas, and that's how your blueprint is basically determined.
That's what I love about the blueprint is how individual it is, how specific it is
Yeah, yeah,
in very, different areas of our life where we can be totally different. So, I'm gonna give an example. In mine, I'm a rebel in relationships, but in
right,
marriage,
right.
devotion.
Very
So
different.
right, because I see and that is something that I've had to come to it hasn't been a challenge, but it can be challenging to be a
Yeah,
rebel in relationships because I'm going to cause friction, speak my mind, and it's not comfortable for a lot of people, but what it does, it aligns me with other people like that who love it.
exactly. Right. And you may also be non-committal sometimes until you actually take a leap and get married or move in with somebody because the rebel is like the most free-spirited one.
Yes.
So you're a free spirit in overall relationships, not in marriage. See, that's where we have to speak about the difference in the
Mhm.
blueprint with those things. Because the relationship area has 2 parts. It has how we interact with just about everybody, like friends and family and neighbors and coworkers, and also dating if we're just kinda dating or whatever people do these days. I don't know. I've heard it's not dating anymore, but
I don't know. I'm a rebel, so I wouldn't know.
yeah. And I'm living alone, so, uh, I'm out of that world, at the moment.
Mm.
But, so there's the one area which governs how you interact with almost everybody. Then there's the marriage area, and you're gonna have a separate personality in the marriage area as opposed to your personality in the overall relating area, which I think is one of the real secrets of relationships. Like, I've never heard I mean, maybe you have, or you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never heard any relationship coach or teacher or counselor or anybody who wrote a book on relationships speak about the fact that there's a difference between dating someone and actually living together with them or marrying them.
I have not heard it either. That's what, fascinates me about it. I haven't heard anyone talk about this at all, like the
I
different
know.
personalities in different areas of our life and how specific and in the range, and it's what it does. It's just the acceptance that happens for us individually and collectively.
Yeah.
And then you can see it in other people. Oh, they don't have to be different. They are different.
Right. And it's a crucial thing to know that you are gonna change between dating a person and actually marrying them. And the interesting thing is you and I both have very, drastic ways of changing between dating and marriage that may almost shock the person that, we ultimately live together with or marry or whatever.
Or shock
Um,
ourselves.
well, yeah, if you don't know your blueprint.
Right.
Um, I always wondered why every time I would get into a live-in relationship or something, before I knew my blueprint, people would say the same thing to me. Like, what happened to that other person that I knew who was like this and like this and like this when we were dating, and now we're married or we're living together and you're completely different. Like, what's that all about? And
Mm,
I didn't know either. At the time, I felt guilty. But then when I knew about the blueprint stuff and I knew my own, it made complete sense. I
mm.
mean, it made total sense to me that why I change in such a radical way and that it's okay.
A lot of books and relationship coaches do say, "Oh, if someone changes when you're married, then, they were putting on a front," or, and now that we're talking about it, if someone was, say, devotional in relationships and then goes to warrior in
Yeah.
marriage,
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like, "Oh, you were playing me because now you're very
Right.
oppositional and you were very, always, like, wanting to please me before, and now
Yep.
it's so different that,
Yep.
you trap me."
Right. And it's not that real. I mean, maybe occasionally
Yeah.
someone actually is doing that, but ideally it's not that. It's just that we have two different personalities in those
Mhm,
two areas, and they are going to change. Now, not everybody changes that drastically as you and I do,
mhm.
but it is possible. But there is change no matter what. It may be a minor change, but it's still going to be a change. And that's like I always feel like I should have written a b or should still
Yeah,
write a book just on relationships and the blueprint
yeah,
and talk about all of this because I think it would be like, a good thing to know for people.
yeah, definitely. I
Maybe
mean,
I'd have a bestseller.
I think so. I think, it's never too late. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Mhm. Well, let's
But
talk about, the spiritual path because that
yeah,
is
yeah,
so important, and I know that was so impactful for me when you shared with me during the consultation that mine is the intellect or communicator.
yeah,
And it totally makes sense because, like, my favorite thing of I feel so good and satisfied when I can see patterns and I have this
right.
witness detached witness, and I'm self-reflecting, and I'm, you know, coming to realizing something, and yeah, that's how I feel spiritually connected, and I'm in a meditative state most of the time as I'm
Yep,
doing that, and I never really
yep.
got anything out of sitting down and closing my eyes and emptying my mind.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's because there are different types of meditation for each of the personalities that govern each of the 8 spiritual paths that are possible. And yours happens to be the one where you're not necessarily suited to just sitting down and meditating. You can do it, but your meditation is better in, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
observation of your surroundings, observation of whatever,
Yeah.
whatever is going on, but observation as the witness.
Yeah.
Well, as the observer, like taking a step back from yourself and then watching everything play out. That's
Mhm.
how the communicator, or in yoga, they would call it the jnana yogi. It's the yoga of the intellect, like you said. That's how that would play out like that. You see yourself as the observer and and you're watching your life play out like you're watching it on a movie screen
Yeah.
and you're in it,
Mhm.
but you're also sitting in the theater.
It's so
watching.
interesting. When I was very young, probably 6 years old, I remember walking down the street, and I had that witness consciousness where I said,
Mm,
"Oh, I'm me." And it was like me looking at me saying, "Oh,
right, right.
me," and I had to come, like, into, "Oh, this is me walking down the street."
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm,
That's amazing.
mm.
Did you ever have a feeling when you were a kid of wanting to be invisible?
No, I don't
Not
think.
so much. Okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that can happen with this path as well.
Hmm.
But it's part of that. It's part of just like wanting to be the fly on the wall
Mm.
and not seen, just wanting to be the observer, but not being seen, being the observer.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
But yeah, yeah. But in any case, yeah, that's one of the spiritual paths, which, as I said, is governed by that communicator
Mhm.
personality. My path is much, much different than that, actually. Well, I have the idealist there in the spiritual area. And the idealist, I often wondered as I've gone through my life and before I knew the blueprint, why I was so interested in music and the arts and just beauty in general, beautiful things and nature. And it turns out that the idealist is all about these things. The idealist is about beauty and art and music and nature and, all the things that I love and the things that capture my attention. And not only that, but they are the things that draw my awareness inside for meditation. Just like for you, it's like the observation and even learning for you, knowledge and, learning new things and reading new books and learning new techniques and this and that.
Experiencing thousands of resources around the world.
Exactly right.
Just to
Exactly what you're doing.
understand them and share them and know the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what draws you in. That's what draws your awareness inside so you can be free of the distractions and whatever, and then can really meditate in a sense. So for me, it's all those other things. It's
Mm.
music and art and beauty and so forth. And it could be food, it could be anything beautiful and anything that makes me go, ah,
Yeah, and that
is gonna be helpful for drawing my awareness inside. Yeah.
and I know that, for myself too, because that's my secondary.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, see?
And, yeah,
So
that's I'm either learning and reflecting, or I'm lost in music and dance and photography and the light on the wall and shining on the plants and the taste of the different foods.
well, and don't forget too, the idealist in your own blueprint is, specifically in the creative
Oh,
play
yeah,
area,
that also. Mhm.
and so that stimulates your creativity and all of that. But yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
yeah.
so it's
But for
double. Double the
kind of
pleasure.
yeah, yeah, exactly, because it's a secondary one for you too, spiritually.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, and that's so that answered all my questions about, like, why I've been a musician for my whole life as well,
yeah.
and
You're a
and
jazz
still
musician.
still do that.
Mhm.
I play jazz mostly. I mean, I love all music, and I've played a lot of different styles of music, and still do. But yeah, mostly jazz, and I play the upright bass,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
And
I've
you
played all over the world, and still doing still doing it. Um,
Yeah, you're a professional musician. Do you think most professional musicians and artists are typically idealists in the spiritual?
It depends. I mean, because then you have to take into account the career personality too, and even the creative play and the dharma as well. Yeah, I do see the idealist a lot with musicians in career too, especially. So yeah, it depends. I feel like I've been fortunate in my life to be able to do two things, and hopefully I do both of them well. But there are 2 things that I love to do, and I can also pretty much make a living from from the combination of both of them, and that's music and the blueprint
Mm.
work.
I would love to know, and I'm sure the listeners too, how you gained this knowledge, of the blueprint and how that fits in your blueprint.
Hmm. Well, I'll give you my background and how what led up to that actually too. Being a musician pretty much since I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, I think that was. Um, Immediately, I knew that's what I wanted. That's at least one thing that I wanted to do in my life. And I from then on, I studied music and I played guitar and started playing immediately. I was doing gigs when I was like 10 or 11 years old, actually.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we had a whole band of like 10, 11, 12-year-old kids, like 4 of us, and we played all over, and we would even play weddings and things like that. Yeah. But anyway,
I'm sure
um
you would have been a TikTok star.
right. So actually, I think it's also the Beatles turned me on to the whole holistic world and the world of yoga, and because in, I think, 1967 or something like that, they went to India and
Oh, yeah.
studied with Maharishi, who was the guru for the TM movement,
Yeah.
Transcendental Meditation. And I read all about that, and then they started doing records that had Indian instruments on them, like the sitar and tambura, and I heard that and was like, "Wow, that's really wild." And so then I wanted to learn how to meditate. And in 1967, I was, uh, 10 years old or something. And
Wow. And
yeah,
and and there you go, music led you into your meditation.
it did.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
just according to my blueprint, which I
Right.
didn't have any idea of at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we used to meditate and we used to think we were meditating anyway. We would put on a Ravi Shankar record and go in my basement and light some incense and turn the lights off and then just sit on the floor and close our eyes until the record, the one side of the record was over, which was about 15 or 20 minutes, which is a perfect time to meditate. And anyway, and we went from there. So eventually I got into yoga and I became a yoga teacher and taught physical yoga for about 20 years. But through yoga, I also got into massage and acupressure and Tai Chi and a number of things. Through yoga, I got interested in Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is the medicine of India, basically. And so I studied that, and I became an Ayurvedic practitioner, and that appealed to me because Ayurveda, to a point, also acknowledges that we're all different. In Ayurveda, it's different body types that lead us to do different things. But I got frustrated with Ayurveda for a number of different reasons. One, that it didn't quite go far enough for me
Mhm.
in terms of the individual. And a lot of what was being practiced was more generalized. And so I came across this knowledge of the blueprint through a particular book that I found in a holistic bookstore at one point in 1997. And I read the book and I was like, wow, this is like, it was a book on Ayurveda, but it was a whole different take on Ayurveda. And I was like, wow, this is really different than anything I've studied Ayurvedically or otherwise. And I said, I have to know more about this. So I contacted the teacher, the author of the book, and I said, I want to have a consultation with you. And we did that. And I was, like you said, I was blown away completely because I spent years in Ayurveda apparently being misdiagnosed by teachers and eating the wrong things and doing the wrong practices because it's what people were telling me to do, but I just felt worse. And
Yeah.
and and I'm not dissing Ayurveda, I don't mean
Right.
to do that, but just my experience uh, was that.
Mhm.
And so this teacher and this book comes along and the consultation, and everything that he said rang a bell for me, and it rang true for me. And it even the physical part, which was completely opposite of what people in Ayurveda had been telling me about myself. And I took a little leap of faith and I started doing opposite practices than what I had been doing before. And all of a sudden, everything clicked. Everything felt better. I had been a vegetarian, actually vegan for quite a long time, and not feeling great and feeling worse and worse over time, in fact. And again, this is not to say that there's anything wrong with being vegan or vegetarian or whatever, because that does work for some people, but it did not work for my particular type, blueprint type. So I was doing actually everything pretty much opposite of what really worked for me. But I didn't know that until I had the blueprint consultation. The teacher said, "What's your diet like?" I said, "Oh, I've been vegan for blah, blah, blah." He said, well, in your blueprint, your body really needs protein. It needs animal protein. I'm like, no. I was like 10, 11 years old. I saw the Beatles becoming vegetarian and all of that. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
And that's what I like that example because that's how we typically come off of our true nature and what we actually need is when we look to other people. And that's the problem and the solution is knowing what's right for you.
Yes. Well, actually, that brings me to an interesting point with this whole thing. The 8 areas of life, right? And the 8 personalities, that paradigm seems to be something that was lost. I think there was a time, I mean, this would be many, 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 many years ago, where this paradigm was the foundation pretty much for everything. So I think that Ayurveda, yoga, astrology, exercise were all part of one system. They weren't separate.
Mm.
You didn't go to a separate astrologer and then you went to a separate Ayurvedic practitioner for your diet. In fact, there was a great yogi guru named Krishnamacharya, and he was also an Ayurvedic practitioner, but he would prescribe asanas for the individual person. He would give a specific practice to each person and a different practice to each person. And how would he do that? He would invite the person to come and live with him first for a month. Like someone would come to him and say, "Oh, can you please give me an asana practice?" And he would say, "Okay, but come and live with me for a month." And so in that month, he would observe the person and see what they're all about, what they ate, what their proclivities were. And then when he knew the person, he would give them a specific asana practice that was just for them. So this is the same thing that we're doing with the blueprint, except that I don't have to have my clients come and live
Oh.
with me for a month. I do
That's
it from yeah, yeah, it is good. I do I do it from, um, the knowledge of their birth information. And this is a little tricky too because I don't technically consider it to be astrology, and I was never an astrologer, and it's certainly not Western astrology or Vedic astrology or Chinese astrology or any other type of astrology that anyone may be aware of. So the birth information for me is a tool that I use that helps me to see into a person's blueprint. There's a scientific aspect to it, like where the universe was at that time when you came out of the womb, and then there's a partly intuitive part as well. This paradigm of 8 areas of life, 8 personalities seems to be the key that unlocks the door to everything, the key that makes Ayurveda work the way that it was originally supposed to work. The key that makes Chinese medicine work the way that it was supposed to work, the key that makes astrology work the way it was supposed to work. I think with the loss of this paradigm, all of those systems has to rely more on generalities and really, really intuitive practitioners of those systems in order to work.
mm,
And again, I'm not dissing those systems.
right.
It's
It
but
makes sense. Yeah.
it takes a really intuitive practitioner to make any of those systems work these days.
many systems out there to understand ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are helpful to understand maybe, some are like how our energy works, how our
Mhm.
personality was formed from our trauma, how, introverted or extroverted
Right,
we are, but none of them cover what works best for us and why we are the way we are in different areas of our life.
right. Like, for example, when you overlay this paradigm, 8 areas of life, 8 personalities, onto anything, gives you a lot more insight into what you're looking at. Like, for example, I don't know if it's helped you with your work with your clients to know your clients' blueprints. Did it help you in the past with the work that you were doing with them?
It helped my clients accept themselves, and really
Right,
that was the work that I was doing, is helping them heal from the parenting that made them wrong
right.
and underlying emotional wounding that filtered everything. Now it did help them accept their differences where a lot of parents put children into boxes, like, "You need to be
Right,
this way, be nice to everyone, be this, be that." And
right.
there could be rebels and warriors, or you should do this for a living, or why don't you do this because this person, oh, you should be married and be this way. Yeah, so there's a lot of shoulds in parenting
Yeah, yeah.
that keep um, everyone from expressing their true nature. And
Yep.
so I think in that way it helped for sure. And I love the blueprint so much, and because of my spiritual path, I like to see and guess what people are in different areas because I can see it. I can see
Right.
the people who are dedicated to always working out and eating clean, that don't have an eating disorder, but that's their, like, passion. I can see that's how they're spiritually connecting to it.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Really powerful work. It's very simple in a sense, and there's 2 parts, right, which what you were just speaking about. The blueprint, and then there's your conditioning. Conditioning would be, the things that people tell you, "You should be this, you should be that. Don't do this, don't do that." Maybe you're a rebel in, relationships, and your parents always said to you, "Oh, simmer down, don't be so different, oh, don't be so,
Be
questioning of
nice.
everything." Yeah, exactly. And so we take on a lot of conditioning that most of the time isn't a part of our own blueprint, our real blueprint. And
Mhm.
then parts of our actual blueprint get covered up.
Yeah.
And this is what I have found that happens in a consultation, that uh, I don't go into, okay, what's your conditioning been? What we don't talk about that. I don't even give advice for conditioning because by just sharing their own blueprint with them, they start to see all the places where they took on stuff that wasn't them.
Yeah.
And the
That
healing just starts from the consultation. Just having the consultation is part of the healing of that, you
yeah.
know?
That's really the power in it, and I did find it after the majority of my healing of coming into my truth. So it did confirm most of it, and it reinforced things where I may have had a little residual doubt and things like that. I also have seen it work with someone I gave it to who was young and hadn't come into herself yet, and I know it helped her accept her path of
Mhm.
being a rebel, I think, in the spiritual. So now I can see how it's helped her embrace that part of herself.
Yeah, and the rebel, as we were speaking about earlier, is not the easiest one, and it's usually the one that gets repressed. Even if you haven't been conditioned out of it, you may repress it yourself because you don't want to appear unusual or unique or strange. And so
Mm.
hearing that, "Oh, I am a rebel, that's really who," in this area, "that's really who I am, and it's okay to be that." And wow, that's like a big thing, with anything, but especially the rebel, which is one of the more extreme, cases there, and the one, like I said, that will get repressed just almost automatically.
Yeah. Whereas, a giver with the spiritual path is more accepted in the world, someone who actually feels connected by giving, it's like that's what's encouraged.
Well, but then givers also have their own challenges, which is giving too much
Mhm.
a lot of the time and not being able to say no. And of course, the world loves that too. Oh, I'll get this person to do it. They never say no. Let's just get more and more from them.
Yeah, right. I think
Yeah.
that's my dharma giver, and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And I've had to learn with that because I am very giving, for anyone who needs help where I can help them, and I've had to
Yeah.
learn to see if it's good for me or if I have the energy. Yeah, that's what I love about the blueprint as well is knowing your personality in each area and the positive and challenges of it. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something we haven't spoken about. There are challenges and there can be challenges. For instance, my relationship area is a bit challenged. And so sometimes relationships can be stressful for me. I've had to learn a lot through having relationships with people of different kinds and so forth. So I do think of the challenging areas as growth areas, actually.
Mm,
They're not bad. They're not good or, like I said, I used to think of them as good or bad or, strong or weak or whatever, but it's not that. It's the challenges are the growth areas where we can really learn from. And I've learned a lot through relationships in my life, even though it's been a struggle. Knowing that is there in my blueprint then helps me to accept that. And rather than necessarily retreat from the struggle, basically better to look into it and see what I can change or what I need to change or what I can work with. So the
yeah.
challenges are growth, not
Mhm.
negatives.
Yeah.
And we all have at least one or two of those 8 areas of life that could be challenged. Some people have more, or
Mhm.
some people don't have any hardly any challenges.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot in your own blueprint, um,
Challenges?
not major ones.
Yeah, I think just being a rebel in relationships
That's the main one
are
actually
the
for you,
was
yeah.
continues to be the
Yeah.
main one.
And not just
Ye
because it's the rebel, not just
Yeah.
because it's the rebel, but there is an overall challenge there anyway. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
And I would think, being devotional in marriage has its challenges as well, depending on the partner, and being a giver with my dharma. So that's kind of the challenge for me was to not self-sacrifice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because you go from being the real independent rebel and dating, "Don't fence me in," but then you get married and you're like, "Oh," you become all about the other person.
The people pleaser, yeah.
What can I well, the
Yeah,
person
the
pleaser,
first
because
the one
it's
person.
only with that one person.
Yes, exactly.
And
Not
what can I
people.
do
Mhm.
Yeah. What can I do to make you comfortable? What can I do?
Yeah,
Let me cook you dinner, let me, rub your
yeah,
feet, let me, whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and so there's other areas like, my career is a loner. And
Yes.
I knew that since I was in corporate sales, not knowing the blueprint, of course, but I knew what worked for me. I
Right.
always had to work alone at home. And so this was
Right.
before remote jobs came about. And I just said, I can't be in the office. I have to work at home. I work better at home. And so I always, no matter what job I had, asked for that
Yep.
and got it. And yeah, and the
Yeah.
times where I tried to work with people did not go well.
Hey, interesting. That's my career as well,
Mm,
loner.
yeah,
And I have similar, yeah, experiences.
mhm.
I have to do it all myself. Do it by myself,
Yeah, and other
Um,
careers could be what?
you could have the, integrative in career, which is integrative is kinda like the sun, right? So, like, integrative sometimes can make you famous in career, or at least make you very well known for what you do, because,
Mm,
like, the sun shines, on everything. Your career is gonna be shining on everything. A tricky part, though, of integrative in career is that because it shines on everything, it's interested in everything, it wants to do everything. So actually honing in on one thing to do career-wise can be difficult for people with integrative there, or they may wind up doing 2 or 3 different jobs at the same time because they have interest here, but, also interest in this completely different other thing that they wanna do too. So, sometimes it's hard for them to pin it down to one career,
Mm,
and it can be frustrating until they learn about this in their blueprint, and then they can accept it and learn and know how to work with it, actually.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could have communicator in career, and I see that a lot actually with actors and actresses. Communicator is like the chameleons. So actors and actresses, I mean, they have to be chameleons. They take on these different roles of different people and personalities, and someone with communicator and career can easily do that. One of the things I love to do, and it's a very helpful teaching tool when I teach the blueprint, work, like, to students that I have, and is looking at the blueprint of celebrities. Usually, like, if somebody dies, recently, I like to take a look and see what their blueprint was, and it really helps to explain a lot about them, sometimes a lot about their death even, about how they died, but more so about who they were when they were alive and their whole thing, and I recently looked at Diane Keaton's blueprint because I found her very interesting as a person, as an
Mm,
actress, just as a person in the world.
yeah.
And when I looked at her blueprint the other day, I was like, "Wow, it is completely her." I mean, just completely her. She's the warrior spiritually, so that's, like, very independent, very, like, no nonsense, doesn't wanna be tied down, and she never married, and she was always very independent, and just very strong-willed woman and did what
Mhm.
she wanted, and that's the warrior in the spiritual. And she was also integrative in career,
Oh,
and
wow, yeah.
that's what made her, like, shine on screen, or
Mm,
even in her life, if you saw her outside of the movies or whatever, but especially on screen.
yeah, and
Like, she
everyone loves her. Everyone.
Exactly. Well, that's the integrative. Just like everybody loves the sun, which is what the integrative is like. You know, the sun comes out, everybody wants to be under it, and oh boy, it's great, sunny day. Same thing. People are attracted by the rays that they're shining. Who's an integrative? Oh, spiritually, an integrative person is, well, there's a few, Muhammad Ali, Bill Clinton. I don't want to get into politics, but,
Yeah,
uh, but,
but he was
aside,
very
aside from
charismatic.
politics, extremely charismatic
Yeah,
person, like one of the most charismatic people I've ever seen. That guy
definitely.
walks into a room, everybody has to turn and look, and everybody wants to be around him, and everybody shake his hand.
Was it a smooth talker,
Oh
just
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
and his trouble with, women was coming from the creative play part of his blueprint with the idealist there. The
Mm,
idealist is a very feminine energy, and so all about love and romance, and,
mm.
anyway, but we better not get into all of that.
But I love that. I love it because whenever I see the blueprint, with anyone, it just makes sense. It always
Yeah.
just of course, they are that because I see that and it's like everyone sees it once you understand it.
Yeah, it was like I was saying, when I came across this, it worked so much better than anything else I had experienced in my life that I was like, "I have to do this. I have to
Mm.
change my whole life." I stopped being an Ayurvedic practitioner. I stopped a lot of things, and I was like, "I have to do this." I just dove into it, and it took a lot of meditation too because a lot of the knowledge came through meditation for me about how to do the blueprint.
I think I remember you saying that you were working with the guy who wrote the book and you wanted to learn it. You wanted him to teach it to you, and he didn't
Yeah.
until after he died. Is that
Ye
correct?
yeah, I don't know if it was him that taught me after he died. May have been. I mean, I'm, quite possibly. After he died, I started getting, uh It's so hard to put this kind of stuff into words.
Downloads?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And about how to do the blueprint, because, yes, he couldn't teach me that part because he felt that it had to be received in this other way, through meditation.
What other results do you see happen? Like, we've talked a lot about self-acceptance. What and you shared about eating the wrong thing that helped your health and you feel better
Oh, yeah.
physically.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can imagine many people feel less stressed being aligned and accepting. What other things do people say or have they said, as a
Oh,
result?
I've had people change careers after hearing what their career potentials are in their blueprint. I've had people say, that's what I always wanted to do since I was a kid, but both my parents were doctors, so they wanted me to go to medical school, and so I did, and I wasn't really that happy. I mean, I have millions of stories like that, whether it was being a doctor or a lawyer, and they weren't happy. And then
Mm,
they heard that, oh no, their career thing is more aligned with being a restaurant owner or an artist. And some of them actually just stopped what they were doing. One of them actually said to me, "You think it's too late? Is it too late for me to do this?" I'm like, "No, never too late. Why would it be too late?" And they stopped what they were doing, just quit, and learned a whole new a career based on their career blueprint, and were
yeah.
much happier. So yeah, career wise, I've seen a big change. I've seen changes in relationships, in marriages. I mean, I do a lot of compatibility counseling with this work. And um, it's also the most amazing form of compatibility that I've ever seen as well. And that's a whole other topic, of course.
Mm.
I've seen it change relationships and change marriages. And
See it changing relationships in just accepting because so many people try to get the other person to be like them, like, "Oh, why are
exactly.
you doing
Right.
this?" Just like our parents did, and all of that creates so many problems and stress and
Yeah.
misalignment with ourselves and sickness and
Yeah. Well,
conflict.
and that's the beautiful thing about this work. It just takes in everything and allows us to be. It brings compassion is one of the things that I found the most. I think this is so great for the world in general. Like if we all knew not only our own blueprints, but we knew that other people have blueprints too. And other people think differently from us, and other people need to eat differently from maybe the way I do, and maybe they need to pray differently than I do, or maybe they like Jesus and I like Buddha, and but that's okay, there's no one. I mean, there is maybe one consciousness that we all come from, but I think we all have different ways of getting there. And that's interesting too, because my very first spiritual teacher was Swami Satchidananda from the Integral Yoga Institutes.
Mhm.
And the motto of Integral Yoga was truth is one, paths are many.
Oh, wow.
And guess what I was able to actually do his blueprint. Guess what his spiritual blueprint is, his spiritual path? It was the integrative path, which
Mm,
is the one that's all about being about everything, being
yeah.
open-minded, taking all the paths and being able to utilize energies of each one in your own life. So anyway, I feel like this work could change the world. I mean, I'm passionate about that. I don't see it happening in my lifetime, but I
Yeah,
have
the
student but
more people that know about it and do it, the less I see the fighting online. Oh my god. Like
this this would be I mean, ideally, right, the end of all wars and the end of all arguments and hating other people, and because when you realize that everybody's so different, you can't fault them, and also you can't change them.
Mhm,
They have a blueprint that they're expressing. See, your blueprint is like your movie. You're the star of your own movie.
mhm.
Other people may not like your movie. They might go to the movie to your movie and be like, I don't like her movie that much." But that's okay. They don't have to like your movie. You like your movie, and you play out your own movie. They play out their movie. But the point is to know that we each have our own movie, and we're gonna be different across the board. And then we can be much more accepting of anything that anybody else does. I'm not talking about bad things. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about, or
It's the
whatever.
choices that we make, and I think that's it. It's, like, where people are disagreeing so much about what everyone should eat or how everyone should exercise and or how you need to be with people in relationships as we talked about, and
Right.
it's like just letting go of, trying to make anyone like us and just accepting, everyone's differences.
I mean, you can tell in a blueprint if somebody's really meant to be married, if they would thrive in a marriage. You can tell if they wouldn't. You could tell if they're polyamorous. Maybe they need more than one partner. You could
Mm.
tell sexual orientation. You could tell everything. Literally, it's all in the blueprint.
Well, I think we covered a lot, and there's a lot to cover in the
Oh,
blueprint because of all the different archetypes and personalities that get applied to the different areas, but I think we
yeah,
gave
yeah.
all great examples. So, if the listeners want a consultation with you, what's the process like? What information do you need? How do they contact you, and how does the consultation work?
So we do them on Zoom most of the time. Now, some people aren't comfortable also just interacting like we are today, and but they still might want to know their blueprint. They can have it done as a recording where I record it for them and send it to them, and they get to listen to it uninterrupted. They don't have to hear their voice on the recording, and some people prefer that. They can go to my website, which is www.yourlifeblueprint.net. Net. And on that first page there on near the bottom, there's a consultation form, and you just fill that out with your name. And I do need your birth information, including the time of your birth, which is fairly important. You just fill out the form, send it in. I'll contact you back, and then you can pay. You have the opportunity to ask questions for a lifetime, basically. And the initial one is about 90 minutes long, give or take, sometimes longer. So it's a good chunk of time. And it's a lot of information, as you can already tell, packed into that 90 minutes. So,
Yeah, that will last your life.
oh
Like I
yeah,
said, I still think of mine,
yep,
and, sometimes it's a reminder when I'm starting to feel, off. "Oh, yeah, it's because I don't have sunlight," or it's been, 3 days
yeah.
in a row, and that's my vital body and how I'm feel better
And
mental
also and
Mhm.
also your physical, because you have
Yeah,
the physical imbalance of what we call coldness.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you need warmth physically too. Yeah, it's really
exactly.
important.
Yeah, I'm feeling bad about some friction with someone because I spoke my truth. It's like, "Oh, yeah, remember." So, yes, it gets applied, and there's reminders, and keep embracing who you are in these different ways and how you are in these different ways to optimize your life, to reduce stress, to be
Mhm.
more accepting of yourself and others.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep, that's it.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot of good things that will definitely improve your life, and I love also that it's a quick way of healing the conditioning.
Sometimes quick, but sometimes it seeps in over time too. You know, but yes, having that initial consultation is, the start of everything that I found. And I look forward to sharing it with anyone who's interested. The more blueprints I do, the better, because, at some point, I hope there's who wrote that book? The Tipping Point.
Mm.
There's a
Oh,
tipping point. Yeah, I forget. But there's a tipping point in the
yeah.
world where, you do so many, in this case, so many consultations that then it just starts to become like a thing. It becomes normalized. And
Oh,
yeah,
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes. Wrote The
Yeah.
Tipping Point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very good book.
Mhm.
But yeah, the more I do, the better. I mean, I don't know how much time have left on this earth to be here, but I would
Yeah.
say do it now.
There you go. Definitely. You are, like I said, a hidden gem. It's one of a kind. It's so valuable, and most people don't know about it. So I'm so happy to have shared your work. That's so important for all of us to know and to experience and embrace. So thank you for being on the show and
Well,
sharing.
I appreciate the opportunity to share all this with your listeners, and thank you so much. Good to reconnect with you too.
Yes, yes. It's been a while, and it's always good to
Yeah,
talk about this. I get obviously excited about it as well. So
yeah, I know.
yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Gandharva, and thank you all for listening and learning. This show is also about not only introducing you to these resources that can help you, but also learning about all of these ways that can help you that you weren't even aware of. So remember to follow this show for trusted support and share the vibe. See you next time.